Hey guys, it's spring now, so I figured a fun little project would be to make my little girls some matching circle skirts. But my husband's a little bit of a killjoy when it comes to dressing our kids and hates matching outfits. So I'm just gonna trick him, but don't tell him, and use different fabrics but make the same skirt. So here's Charlotte's. I already have hers made. Just cute, simple circle skirt, and then I added some faux suspenders. They're sewn on, and then these cute little buttons. And then for the waistband, I really like the look of this fitted waistband across, but obviously for little girls you're going to want it to be stretchy. So what I did is use elastic thread. This is what elastic thread looks like. This is how it comes. This is the only brand my Joann's carried. But it works really well. It's a really nice thread. And I used it, I sewed along the back to shear the fabric to make it stretchy. Okay, so first things first, what we're going to want to do is the math to find out how to make our pattern. And we're going to need the radius. So if you guys remember from math class, which don't worry if you don't, I didn't, I had to look it up. But you find your circumference, and that's going to be your waist measurement. And then the radius is your circumference divided by 2 times pi, or 3.14. Or you could just do like this. 2 times pi is 6.28, so your circumference, your waist measurement, divided by 6.28. So that's what we did up here. You're also going to want to remember to add 2 inches to your waist length for your seam allowance. And then for the length of the skirt, you want to add 1 to 2 inches depending on how long you want it. But basically, Charlotte's waist was 18 inches, added 2, so 20 divided by 6.28, and I got 3.18. So that's the radius, and you'll see how we're going to use that measurement when we make our pattern. And then for her length, I only added 1 inch, so that's the length. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you're going to want to fold your fabric. So for circle skirts, you fold in half, and then in half again. Okay, so if you guys remember what the radius actually is, the radius is the measurement from the center of your circle out to the outside of your circle. So this corner here is the center of your circle. So what you're going to do is you take your radius for Ireland. Hers is 3.5. So you take it, this is the center, and you're going to measure down 3.5. And you're going to go make the curve like this. So you're going to measure 3.5 on this side and go along. And just make little marks to make this curve here. Okay, and then, so there's your first line. And then your second line is just going to be the length of it. So I need 13 inches for her. So just go right down 13 inches, make your mark. Okay, so here's what it looks like with your marks done. I know that's a little bit hard to see, but there's the first, here's the second. So this is going to be your actual skirt from here to here, and this will be the center cutout for the waist. Here it is. It'll sit like this on her. Next piece I'm going to cut, I want to do the suspenders. So I want the suspenders about 1 inch thick. And I'm doubling them. I want 2 layers of fabric. So I need at least 2 inches, and then I need a seam allowance. So I'm going to add 1/2 inch on each side for the seam allowance. So I need it 3 inches wide, and then the length I need for Ireland to go over her back. So I'm going to do about 20 inches for her. Okay, so put these aside over here, and then the next piece I'm cutting is going to be the, sorry, I don't know why someone put tape on my mouth. The next piece I'm going to cut is the waistband pieces. So the front piece is fitted, so I just do her waist length, divided in half, and then add a seam allowance in. So her waist is 20 inches, so it's 10 inches, and I'll add an inch for 1/2 inch on each side for the seam allowance. So I just need one piece that's 10 inches long. And I want a nice thick, like a 2-inch waistband, but again, I want it 2 layers. I'm going to double it. I'm going to fold it over onto each other. So I need about 5 inches so that I have enough seam allowance to stitch to the actual skirt. So for the front piece, I need 11 inches by 5, but for the back piece that I'm going to use the elastic thread on and to shear, I need to do about a 1.5 length. So the 11 inches and then the 6 inches or 5.5 inches. And that way it kind of accordion in on itself and makes it stretchy. Okay, so for the first part of sewing, I'm going to do the hem. And I'm going to make it a narrow hem. So I'm going to press it under just 1/4 inch and then fold it over one more time 1/4 inch. So the first part is this ruler. If you have one of these, it works great because it has this little tip here for you to line it up. So fold it over and measure it. And then hold it down. Just be really careful with your iron to not burn yourself. So try to get this first little part pressed, and then it's a little bit easier to go. Okay, so I've got the hem pressed. I pressed it under 1/4, and then I went ahead and pressed it over again, probably about 1/2 inch. So now I'm just going to sew. I'm going to try to sew close to this edge, and just be careful when we're sewing because it'll pucker because it's a circle and can't lay absolutely straight. So just try to line it up kind of as you go. Just every once in a while come down here and fold it straight over. So these kind of lay in a little bit, and you could kind of kind of manipulate where they go. Okay, so I got the hem all done and I've already got it pressed and everything, but these little ones just woke up, so I'm gonna have to finish tomorrow. Hi, you like that skirt? Okay. Alright, so my little ones are sleeping, or at least pretending to sleep, so now you can we'll see how much I can get done. But the next part of it is going to be the waistband. So here's the back waistband piece, and I just folded it right in half. Okay, so I've got my waistband pieces here. I've got them trimmed up so they're even. And then I went ahead, when I opened this up, I turned these sides in 1/4 inch and pressed them, because when I'm attaching them to the skirt, when I'm going to attach them to the skirt, I'm just going to lay the skirt in here and sandwich it in there, and that way I only have to do one seam right here. I only have to stitch it once. It's not the traditional way to attach a waistband, but these are for little girls. It doesn't have to be professional, and this is the way I like to do it because I only like one seam going across the waistband, and I don't like to hand tack things down. So that's how I'm going to do it. So then the next part is going to be this. I already have it in there, but here's the back piece, and I did the same to the back piece. So the next step is going to be to shear this fabric. And the way we do that is by we use regular thread in the top needle, and we use this elastic thread in the bobbin. So this is the Gutermann brand. This is the only one that my store, the fabric store I went to, carried in my town. And so this is actually the only one I've ever used, and it works really well. So I'm cool with that. So when you're putting it on your bobbin, you can't use your machine to wind your bobbin. You have to do it by hand, because you have to make sure that it's perfectly on there, because you don't want it too tight. Don't wrap it tight, but don't let it be loose either. So just do it by hand, wrap it around so it lays smooth. And it'll take a few minutes, but it's just one of those things you have to do to make sure that it's done correctly. So there's that. I've already got a bobbin in there with the elastic thread on there. And then the way I'm going to sew it is, here's my opening. So I'm going to use my presser foot as a guide, and I'm going to put this on the edge of the presser foot, and I'm going to sew just one straight stitch, and I do just a normal straight stitch. I don't make the stitch longer. I keep it regular. It works great that way for me. So basically how you shear fabric with the elastic thread is you just do rows of stitching like this. And I always use the edge of this presser foot here as my guide. So I just use this edge, sew the line, and then I use this row stitching lined up at the edge of my presser foot to keep them spaced evenly. So you go ahead and back stitch, just like everything, you know, sew it like a normal stitch. The only thing you're going to do differently is after you've done all your stitching, you take it over to your iron and use steam on it, and you steam it. You don't iron it, you just hold the iron over it and push your steam button on it, and then the steam makes it shrink right up. Now this edge is where we're going to be attaching the skirt, so don't go too close to this edge. I'm going to want to stop right around this edge so that I still have enough opening here to get it wrapped around my skirt. So now my next row, I'm just using this stitching as my guide right up against the presser foot for my next row. Okay, so here's what it looks like with all the stitching in it. See, it's already a bit stretchy, but you'll see what happens when we put the iron on it, when the steam. It's going to be a little bit hard to do because it wants to roll up on itself, but you can see this. So this side's already tightened up. I don't want to burn myself, so see how it shrinks up on itself? Sorry, I know it's hard to see because it's rolling, but so here it is now. Now it's nice and stretchy. Yes, and as you can hear, nap time ended a little early today. Okay, your next step is going to be to sew the back waistband to the front waistband. And to do that, you're going to open up your front waistband piece and make sure the top of your back waist piece is on the inside, the top of the front piece. And then you line them up. Line them up like this. Sandwich it in there. And pin them. Just line it up as best you can, because that way when you turn it right side out, they will line up and match perfectly, and it'll be straight. Everyone likes straight waistbands. Don't poke yourself with your pins, that hurts. So here's this side, how it's going to look all pinned, and then you'll do the same with the other side, and then you'll just sew your seam right here. When it's all done, turn it right side out, and it'll look like this. And you have your waistband. Stitch in the back, fit it in the front, and now is the perfect time to fit it to your little one to make sure it fits. If it's too big, you can take it in really easily. You just turn it right back, turn it out inside out again, and just make the seam come in closer. If it's too small and you didn't buy enough fabric like I did, then you're screwed. Sorry. So word to the wise, if you have a tall 3-year-old, buy more than 1 yard of fabric. So next step now is to attach your waistband to your skirt. Now your skirt is not going to have a front or a back. So it doesn't matter where you start there. Obviously your waistband does. And depending on what color thread you used for your elastic, there's no inside or outside either. If it matched the same, it wouldn't matter. But since I only had white, I'm gonna make this the inside because I want the pink to show. So what I did to make it as easy as possible to line up is I folded it in half this way and put a pin, so I know this is center front, fold it back here, this is center back. And I'm gonna do the same to this skirt. I'm gonna pin it in 4 different places. So I'm gonna know where my side seam, my center front, center back, and other side seam are. So when I attach the waistband, it'll be easier to line up and make sure it's all even. Okay, so hopefully you can see well enough on the camera, but basically you're gonna lay this piece in here, lay the top of your skirt on the inside of your waistband. Take this pin out, put this down. Now in between my fingers, my front and back fingers, I can feel the edge of this, the front and the back of the waistband, and I know that they're lined up and even. So now I pin it in. Okay. Then you move to your side and do the same thing. Okay. So now I can, I hope you guys can see this okay, but just keep sandwiching the skirt in the waistband. And just, the easiest way is to do the middle, line it up in the middle here. And then keep going into the middle. Then you take the middle of this piece into the middle of this piece. And then see how there's just a little teeny tiny bit of puckering, which is normal. I can manipulate it and lay flat and put them exactly where I want them so that they're distributedly evenly throughout the length of the skirt. And you're just going to keep going section by section all the way around. Oh well, I finally got it all pinned. It took me a little bit, but I got it all pinned, so now we're ready to sew. And I'm going to put it on my machine this way, and I'm going to sew it along. And then trim all your threads, and the skirt part's all done. So now all we have left to do is the suspenders. Next step, suspenders. Take your long piece, fold it in half, right sides together, and just sew a straight line. Okay. These are the tricky part. Well, it's not tricky, it's just kind of a hassle, but turn it inside out. Safety pin. Voila. And now you're going to take it over to your iron, press it nice and straight, flat. Do the same with the other side. Okay. So I've got the suspender straps. I have them ironed and pressed very nicely. And then I put the skirt on iron and went ahead and measured where I wanted them to be. And then before I pin them in place, I double checked the measurement and I made sure that they were both equal. So I measured this side and made sure this strap was even on the other side, from the edge of this strap to the side seam on both the front and the back. So I went ahead and pinned them down where I want them. Now the back I'm going to stitch down with my sewing machine because there's already stitching it will show. This I'm going to tack down as well, but on the front I'm going to hand stitch it just so I don't have any extra seams going across her waistband, and then I'm going to put the little buttons on. Here it is, all finished. It only took me a couple of afternoons, mistakes and all, but it looks really nice. Ireland, come here. Come here.
That's mine's good done.
What do you think?
It's
Come here.
great.
It's great. Do you like it?